Welcome to the UltiShow, World Games Edition. We're in Chengdu, China. World Games are going on in just about 18 hours from now or less. We're at Chengdu Sport University at their stadium. The teams were here doing warm-up before. I'm with Robin Fennig, and we're going to talk about who's going to win the World Games Ultimates. What do you think?
It was really great to be able to see the teams on the ground this morning, walking through their training. We got to see a little bit of offensive system work, a little bit of defensive schemes from some of the teams. And then there are a couple of teams who had, I would say, very minimal on-field time to try to keep their tactics more secret, which to see the entire range across the entire delegation was pretty awesome. Excited to be here. The weather's been a roller coaster. It is. I've heard it's monsoon season in this part of China. So we had some flooding this weekend and some storms that impacted disc golf. And today it's a beautiful day. Temperature's great. A nice little breeze for the players to have some fun with their disc flight. But hopefully the weather stays more like this than it was earlier this weekend.
It would have been a perfect day to play all the games today. It was overcast, not too hot. It's been very hot here before we got here. As you say, lots of rain, many tents destroyed in a windstorm we had earlier. And I'll echo what you said. I think the teams that came out here, they were jazzed to be here. The stadium looks fantastic. I think a lot of players were just out here having a lot of fun. There wasn't too much serious.
Hi there, open ceremony.
Big bobblehead just walking. Can't be right. You want to come in here, sir?
Disc going on. There were a few conversations going on, but I think everybody's keeping it close to the vest. So when we talk about World Games, we'll start at the top in Pool A. The team that has not won all gold medals, but all gold medals in the last bunch of ones. Team USA, A1, the expected winners. How are they looking?
USA is looking very strong. Even looking back to London Invite, we got to see their depth on full display. Really only pushed to the brink by teams when they were playing sloppy. When they're playing clean ultimate, they're in control of every matchup. I got to see them play a test match against Australia on Saturday night. Defensive pressure looked very physical. Offensively looked pretty clean. Really patient in the reset part of their game. And then also looking to put a lot of defensive pressure on their opponents. Their depth really does shine, but I think everybody's excited to see Claire Trope take center stage. Last World Game cycle, she really was, I would say, the best all-around player on the field across the entire competition. And I think she's only gotten better in the last few years playing with DC Scandal. We've gotten to see her really develop her throwing prowess a lot more, and so I think she'll be even more well-rounded than she was last time, if that's even possible. Just an absolute defensive matchup nightmare. I'm really excited to see how teams try to limit her contributions on the field.
And as you said, that's a scary prospect. Even better. You're amazing that'll be. Before we move on to the next team, I've thought about this in terms of pools since we've done the pool draw. Do you want to be in the pool with the USA?
I was talking earlier with the Chinese coaching staff, and we talked a little bit about how for a team like China, it's a gift to get the U.S. in pool play, an opportunity to play them while you're fresh, especially if you're worried about depth or trying new systems. There's also the starstruck factor. So for players where this may be their first time playing the World Games or playing some of these elite international superstars, like some of the players on the U.S. Team, it could be a little bit, a moment to kind of get your feet under you. But this tournament is fast. There's no opportunities to falter. And if I was competing, I would want to play the strongest team in pool play before they've had an opportunity to really adapt. And see what we were bringing, and also while I was fresh.
And obviously you can also then avoid them in the semifinals if it comes down to that.
Absolutely.
So right below the USA, the darlings of World Games 2022, unexpected semifinalists, Germany, came out of the gate beating Canada at the start of that tournament, rolled through the round robin, and then faltered a little when they got to playoffs, went loss, ended up without a medal, but kind of shook things up a little. They're here again, ready to go. How's Team Germany?
I think the last cycle for World Games, the German offensive efficiency was on par with the other teams, but where they were either winning games or losing games was in their ability to convert on break chances. Their physical defense, they were able to it was able to generate a lot of turns, but they didn't always get to punch it in that first opportunity. I do think some of their new players that I think are playing more in their defensive line from what we've seen at London Invite and some of the preparation tournaments, I think they have more offensive efficiency in that defensive group. I'm hoping to see the defensive scoring efficiency be there, and I think that they'll be able to push a lot of the teams consistently, and won't kind of ride those peaks and valleys maybe that they did in the last cycle.
Right. And then next in the pool, I'd say every pool is a pool of death. But next in the pool, and this will be our first game, USA will be playing Team Japan. Japan's interesting. They're one of the teams, and there's a couple other teams like them. They're hitting all the World Games. They're coming, but they haven't kind of gotten into that medal round for a while. Is this a new generation of Japanese player? What are we expecting from Team Japan here?
I'm really excited to see how some of the newer players that they have in this national team program fit in with some of the most legendary players of Japanese Ultimate. It's such a great opportunity to see that those different generations mesh together, because I do think that Japan has had a lot of consistency over the years in their roster composition, and seeing some of the other players maybe like getting some of that international experience and bringing that back to infuse into their own personal games domestically in Japan. I'm really excited to see the precision throws that we're used to seeing with some of the inclement weather that we're expecting. I think that their disc skills will help them significantly when other teams may have those peaks and valleys where they may have errant throws or drops. We can always expect that from top to bottom, their disc proficiency is unrivaled by any other team.
They're watching Team Japan play. It's often a work of art. It's a great style to watch, and we'll see. Is this going to be a turning point in Japanese Ultimate? As you said, the younger players stepping up. Will we see it in the years to come as this generation really steps into their own? Down at the bottom of A pool, of course, are our hosts, Team China. Host countries, USA notwithstanding. I've always had a bit of a struggle at these events. It's a big step up for them, but we've got Team China here for the first time. I'm sure they'll be excited.
And I think they really did a concerted effort to start their preparation heading into WOC last year in Australia. Their tryout process has been, over the last year or so, bringing that big tryout pool between the teams that went to Australia and then narrowing it down. I think they have a lot of new faces rather than some of the, I would say, the quote best players in China. But the coaching staff was really intentional about selecting the best team that had the potential to mesh together. They're looking to play a very fast-paced style. We got to see just a few minutes of that in their warm-ups, and they're really trying to play a style where everyone is kind of a hybrid player. And I'm very intrigued by that. They've got kind of a mix of university aged players who are a little bit newer to the game and some of the more veteran players in Chinese Ultimate. I'm excited to share the viewing experience as well, to see what this big field 7-on-7 version of what the coaching staff was describing. Again, those fast-paced, kind of a blend, honestly, of a Japanese and Colombian style play is really what they're aiming to hit, and it really does play to their athletic strengths. Again, that have been on display. I'm really excited to see how they come out tomorrow and if they're able to set the tone. During their training matches against some of the other pool opponents, they were up during various parts of the games, but it's just that focus and that mental resilience to play with a lead and be able to hold that. And I think, again, with it being their first big international debut here, having that home atmosphere, I hope that they're able to use that to fuel them so that they could surprise a couple of teams, I think, this weekend.
Yeah, home field advantage. It'll count for something. As you said, experience counts for a lot though as well, and maybe that's definitely what they'll have to work on if when they're up in games, can they hold it? Talking about Australia, moving over to Pool B, the silver medalists from 2022, Australia at the top of B. They had a great event. I was there in Birmingham. I thought they were a fantastic team. I always think that Australia's strength at these events is their ability to create team chemistry. They do it better than any country, I think, in the world. It's great to watch. They pull together. They play as a team. They're always more so than the sum of their parts. That's my feeling. How do you see?
I do think that Australia was really one of the first national team programs to integrate kind of that team culture, mental resiliency aspect. Anna Ragaki has been revolutionary in the sport in transforming, I think, how team culture builds both individual like confidence and resiliency, and how that kind of, I don't know, builds the team identity. And I also think that the fact that all of these players have had a lot of international experience, even though that for a lot of the players on Australia's roster, it's their first World Games. I do think that they know how to be here. They know how to handle pressure and to turn, in towards their teammates when those moments of pressure come up. I think they're a very resilient team and have a lot of tools in the toolkit to be adaptable on the field this year.
And next in that pool, maybe is this the most exciting team at World Games? Team Colombia, again, bronze medalist in 2022. They always play a really entertaining, almost frantic style of ultimate, but very effective.
I think the adaptability of especially the more disc centric players on this team, specifically the Cardenas sisters, and Gina Cartagena, they're not like they're just the gravitational pull of their give go style. It's exciting to watch. They're able to mix that balance of like precise small space throw with a big, huge, powerful puck into space for one of their more like athletic, speedier receivers. But to me, the thing that makes Colombian Ultimate the most exciting is the defensive pressure that they're able to build every single game. It feels like from start to finish, you can feel the pressure rising. And I think that they're very intentional with how and where they want to generate pressure to develop block opportunities. And really looking, maybe more so than any other team, to look for help opportunities with their women matching players. The Colombian women are some of the smartest and most effective poach defenders in the world. And to be able to see them push the limits in this mixed gender setting is really exciting for our sport.
Next team in this pool is maybe it's one of the teams that people know least about, but maybe they shouldn't, because Team France has been putting together some really solid results at events over the last couple of years. They've been a bit of an also-ran at World Games, but this is a new day. Is France this cycle's Team Germany? Are they going to come out and surprise everybody and end up maybe in the semifinals? Maybe they push for a medal.
I think that we saw some of those glimpses of what France's athletic and technical ceiling could be at London Invite. They are another team that are bringing in a lot of new faces to maybe the World Games for fans, but for folks who are following from the Beach World Championships in 2023, a lot of these players were on the team that shocked the U.S. in the semifinal and took gold. In the American home turf World Championship event. And so I think that France is really intentional about creating a mixed ultimate program. Most of these players have been competing at the highest levels of mixed ultimate for years, with a buildup that started after the last World Games cycle, with European championships, and then also playing beach, and then every single opportunity that they're able to send a national team. It's a lot of these faces. They have a lot of chemistry. I'm really excited to see some of the faces. Like I want to see how Elliot Bonet does on the grass. He was the breakout star of the beach championships in California, and to see him throwing to athletic receivers like Lison Bourneau, Chloe Valet, I'm so very excited to see how, if they can put it together, I think it's going to be a very favorable result for France.
And last, but I hope not least, down the bottom of Pool B. And I think if you want to talk about, we always say, this tournament is very quick. This tournament comes at you. There's no time to rest. There's no time to react. Team Canada in 2022 got put on their back foot in game number 1, never recovered, ended up 7th, which is why they're down the bottom of a pool. Surprised to see them there, but they're revamped, ready for maybe a bit younger, maybe a bit hungrier. Uh, can Canada dig themselves out of the bottom of the pool and compete?
I think that this cycle of the Canadian national team does have that hunger. We see the play, like some of these players in the last, I'd say, 4 years of international play have really kind of put the team on their back sometimes. I'm really excited to see Anushka Bodri and Brittany Dos Santos combine together, but in the mixed gender setting, I think defensively, they're a very strong team that can cause a lot of chaos for a lot of different types of offensive systems. And the thing that we saw at London Invite is that their break chance efficiency was clean. And I think that's going to be huge for them. They're not only generating pressure and blocks, but also able to convert. I think that this Canadian cycle very different than our last World Games, and I'm excited to see what they're able to do in this pool. That's going to be very difficult.
So that's the 8 teams. Charlie, ask everybody to log on and beat Charlie at the prediction. So we're at the prediction point. We'll just talk about who's making the semifinals. So for you, Pool A, Pool B, who's the 4 teams you see making it to the medal rounds?
I think it's going to be the U.S. and Germany from Pool A, but I could see a potential where, maybe it comes down to point differential for ties for that second place. And then I do think in Pool B, you could probably close your eyes and draw names out of a hat at random. And I'd be like, yes, that team, I could see any team going 3-0, any team going 0-3. I could see a potential where it's a 3-0 team at the top with 3 teams that are at 1-2. And it's going to come down to like what the 4th or 5th ranking factor is for Pool B. I do ultimately think that it's going to be Colombia, and I really hope that it's France. So I'm going to pick France because I love French Ultimate. So I'm picking France because I'm a homer.
So you're leaving Australia off that list, which is
I feel silly to do it, but I think it's more of a hopeful prediction that I would love this. I would love to see French Ultimate take that step forward. They've put so much development in their youth programs. And we just saw them be very successful at the European Youth Championships last week. I think that they have the development side really focused and under wraps, and I think that they're going to be rewarded for bringing some of those younger players, developing them in a mixed setting, and they're ready to take it. Well, that's all we have for you today. We cannot wait to bring back the action tomorrow from this incredible venue in Chengdu, China. For Brian, I'm Robin. We'll hopefully see you on camera with our first match tomorrow, the U.S. versus Japan. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later this week.